Oh, don't worry. Sometimes I hide my nuggets in the middle of a Bible study. So I noticed Monday's study, which I don't think opened up with my nuggets, had one view. The nuggets came 2, 3, 4 minutes in. Not really sure, but no, there'll be hidden nuggets all up in them. And yeah, 14 views, 12. Interesting. Hmm. Anyway, what nuggets do we have? Just that, I don't know, a holding pattern from yesterday's. I mean, they definitely performed the ritual. They definitely performed the ritual Sunday. 500 and 50. As we know, G500 is Antichrist in Strong's Concordance. The zeros mean nothing to God or them. Like the 144,000, those zeros are just, I mean, it could be a literal 144,000 or it could be 144 people. Same with 1,000 years, millennial reign. Um, so when you get this Sunday ritual with the five, which is the number for Antichrist, G for Greek, it's G500. They did the Daytona 500 ritual of him riding the beast around the track and Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary. So the 500 and the 50. Very interesting. I think I know what's going on, but I'm not, I don't, I'm just going to keep it close to the vest. But we could be extremely close. Do the math. Cryptic message is there. Front and center, by the way, like it's right in our face. Anyway, no, not at all. I'm saying that these sacrifices are offered to demons, not to God. And I don't want you to participate with demons. You can't drink from the cup of the Lord and from the cup of demons also. You cannot eat at the Lord's table and at the table of demons also. So when we read this in the King James, but I say that these things which Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers. That's why the tree goddess, when you got that Christmas tree in your house, that's just loaded with what you would call demonic energy or demons. And there's no salvation in that lifestyle, none whatsoever. And so you can't be you can't say, well, I'm of the Lord when you got the demon tree. Grove worship is all over the Old Testament. And we just showed you the other day how Jeremiah 10, verses 2 through 4 tells you, don't do as the heathen, don't cut the tree from the forest with the axe, fasten it with hammers and nails that it move not, and deck it with silver and gold, which that's explaining your Christmas tree. So, do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. You say, I'm allowed to do anything. but not everything is good for you. You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Don't be concerned for your own good, but for the good of others. So you may eat meat that is sold in the marketplace without raising questions of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. That's totally different than let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat asketh no questions for conscience sake. Oh, okay. We're going through verse 26. Okay. For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Yes. So does that mean, well, I can drag a Christmas tree into my house? Absolutely not. That's what you take from it. Lord help you, is all I can say. All right. If any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not for his sake that showed it, for conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Let's go read it in the New Living. If someone who isn't a believer asked you home for dinner, accept the invitation if you want to. Eat whatever is offered to you without raising questions, so it won't bother your conscience or that of the person serving it. But suppose someone tells you this meal was offered to an idol. Don't eat it out of consideration for the conscience of the one who told you. It might not be a matter of conscience for you, but it is for the other person. For why should my freedom be limited by what someone else thinks? If I can thank God for the food and enjoy it, why should I be condemned for eating it? Conscience, I say, not thine own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? For if by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that for which I give thanks? So we know that food and so forth, and he's talking about if somebody says it's been offered to idols. I do not draw any comparisons to that being okay to it's okay to drag the tree into your house, because that goes back to you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. The tree goddess, grove worship, goddess of groves, Celtic or Celtic goddess of sacred grove, sacred trees and groves in Germanic paganism. How did people worship Asherah? Because grove worship in the Old Testament. Grove worship in the Old Testament refers to a pagan practice where people worship deities in natural groves of trees, particularly associated with Canaanite goddess Asherah, and considered a form of idolatry that the Israelites were repeatedly warned against engaging in. Essentially, it meant worshiping gods in wooden areas, often with erected wooden poles or symbols representing the deity, which was seen as a violation of the monotheistic worship of Yahweh by the Israelites. Meaning of grove. A grove is a small group of trees in this context, associated with Asherah. The Hebrew word translated as grove is Asherah, Old Testament explicitly condemns the practice of grove worship as it is seen as a form of idolatry, disobedience to God's commandments. Practice in groves, well, so it's all over the Bible. And that's what they're doing today. And if you think that today it's okay to do, that's between you and the Lord. Christmas tree is grove worship. So the AI just lied to you. But the decorating tradition of decorating trees does have pagan origins. Oh, brother. Some believe that Jeremiah 10:3-4 refers to crafting of idols, not the decorating of trees. Do not learn the way of the heathen. They cut the tree from the forest with the axe, fasten it with hammers and nails that it move not, deck it with silver and gold. Jeremiah 10:2-4. Learn not the way of the heathens. Mm-mm-mm. And that's why, of course, remember the whole thing with Christmas came from pagan Rome. Christmas trees are tributes to pagan magic and idols that were instituted in ancient times in rebellion against the Creator. Interesting. See, the evergreen tree would not die in the winter, so it was looked upon as a god or goddess. Christmas trees go back to the decorated Asherah poles and sacrifice groves that served as a cathedral for Baal, Baal in the Grove. Yule logs are a Nordic celebration of pagan ... Yeah, all of it is. The Yule log, Yule, all that. Every bit of it is pagan. And so many people that celebrate it know it. And they're laughing at the stupidity of how people go and do it thinking they're doing something great for Jesus. When Jesus's birthday was never celebrated. Only his birth. Itself. Why do you think they have it at Rockefeller Center? Rockefeller Center is the biggest Christmas tree in America, year after year. Rockefeller Center, New York City. So it shouldn't be too hard to figure out, should it? All right, let's get on with Revelation 17. Because speak of the devil, pun intended, we're talking about her. The tree goddess is grove worship. That's why Barbara Walters asked, what tree would you be? Barbara Walters, what tree would you be? Asking Katharine Hepburn, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Hepburn said she felt like a strong tree in her old age. Walters impressed Hepburn to specify which type of tree she was comparing herself to. Hepburn said she preferred an oak over an elm. to avoid Dutch elm disease. So she didn't ask what kind of tree you would be. But I do believe that was a very staged conversation. All right, the woman, which is the city where Jesus was crucified and where the Antichrist sets up shop. It's also that divine feminine spirit of Satan in the goat community. And it's the shape-shifting Satan from the male to the female goddess inside the technology. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her head was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. That's your Christmas tree in a nutshell, along with everything else, of course. It's not just your Christmas tree, but your Christmas tree really personifies that. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. It just means jaw dropping when you look it up in the Greek. Like his mouth's wide open, his eyes are bugged out. He's like, can't believe what he's seeing. It's not admiration as in anything that he likes or that's positive in a likable sense. And the angel said unto me, why did your jaw just drop? Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast that carrieth her, which have 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was the twins. We remember that day that they fell in 2001 in New York City. So it was, and then it is not. Oh, they're down. Lord of the Ring, the Two Towers. So it's Lord of the Ring, Fellowship of the Ring, or Batman Begins. The next is the Dark Knight, the Darkened Right Eye, or the Two Towers of Lord of the Rings. Then it says, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. And in the Dark Knight Rises, he literally crawled up out of a pit. That's One World Trade Tower. It's Returned, or Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. And go into perdition. This is a spiritual ascending out of the pit. The abyss is open. The earth is supernatural. The demonic realm has a lot more accessibility to humans, but so does the Holy Spirit. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, he's alive and is not. Oh, he's dead and yet is. Oh, he's returned from the dead, just like Jesus. Return of the King. The Dark Knight Rises. And by the way, The Dark Knight Rises came out on the 3rd day or 2 days after The Dark Knight. Darkened Right Eye, Bible verse, Zechariah 11:17. The Dark Knight, July 18th. The Dark Knight Rises, July 20th. On the 3rd day, he rose. So after they stage the twin receiving the right eye wound, 2 days after that, the abyss will be opened. The earth will be supernatural. Yes, they were 4 years apart, 2008, leap year, 2012, leap year. But you see what they did there, don't we? July 18th to July 20th, Dark Knight Rises. Mamma Mia came out on July 18th, 2008 also. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which stands for 9/11, Here We Go Again. also released on July 20th. But instead of 2012, 2018. You see what they did there. And Mamma Mia features James Bond as one of the men. The villain from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which featured Daniel Craig receiving a right eye wound, James Bond 007, and the star from the Kingsman series, which is an offshoot of James Bond. 007, the Seventh King of Mystery Babylon. And here's the mind which have wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And then it'll go on tomorrow to tell you that it's 7 kings, 7 humans. So it's their spiritual kingdoms, but it's also the men. We'll continue with the rest tomorrow. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.